Welcome back guys, Terminator here, bringing you another easiest PS4 Platinum Trophies video. Today I want to talk to you about another 10 of the easiest and quickest PlayStation 4 Platinums that came out in 2016. As most of you trophy hunters know, 2016 was probably the best year we've had yet for easy Platinum trophies. So I've gone ahead and compiled another list of what I believe to be another 10 incredibly easy Platinums. I'm going to continue this series for a few more weeks and make a few more of these videos until I've covered off all the easiest Platinums from 2010. Because of this, the following list won't be in any particular order, so once you've watched my top 10 easiest Platinums video, which I put up a few weeks ago, you can tackle the rest of these in any order you please. I've used information from Exophase, PSN Profiles and PlayStationTrophies.org to help create this list. As with my previous videos, I've included all of the titles and their respective links to PSN Profiles below, so finding them for yourself if you want to look them up is a little bit easier. Let's jump straight in. So first off on the list we have Rockets, Rockets, Rockets. Rockets, Rockets, Rockets is an arcade multiplayer game where players control weaponized rockets with the purpose of defeating other players or AI-controlled weaponized rockets. This is incredibly easy Platinum, ranked around a 2 out of 10 difficulty, which can be done in less than 2 hours, providing of course you have 4 other DualShock 4 controllers. After playing a few matches, a large majority of the trophies will automatically unlock without you really needing to look at a list or doing anything in particular. After this, there's just a small amount of cleaning up for the rest of the trophies. You need to finish around 20 matches with 4 players for the top of the world trophy, which will take a little bit of time, as well as the hardest trophy in the game, which is called Lucky, and this is for defeating an AI rocket without shooting or ramming at this rocket. This will probably be where you spend the majority of your playtime, because it is quite difficult, but there are some tricks that you can do to confuse the AI and defeat the enemy in a slightly less stressful way. So what I'd do is suggest looking at a trophy guide or a video on YouTube of someone doing this. There are some techniques you can use to make this very, very easy and less painful for yourself. So next up on the list we have Adam's Venture. Adam's Venture is a third-person action puzzle game where you play as a treasure hunter named Adam. So think Uncharted without the combat, narrative, cutscenes, locations, action, or great voice acting, and you're getting pretty close to what Adam's Venture is. That being said, the game is an incredibly easy Platinum with only 15 trophies, 13 of which are story related and unmissable, making the game a really simple 1 out of 10, which can be completed in around 3 hours. The puzzles aren't even that complicated either, but if you do get stuck, there are plenty of guides online. As mentioned before, there are 2 missable trophies in the game, but these are really not worth mentioning because they're so simple. One is for simply standing still for about 90 seconds as soon as the game starts for the first time, which is really bizarre, and the second is for spinning 3 globes, which are found across 2 different chapters in the game. One is the first chapter and one I think is the 3rd chapter or the 4th chapter, but I wouldn't worry too much about them either, as they can be easily grabbed with chapter select later on, shouldn't take you more than a couple of minutes. The third game on my list is Coffin Dodgers. Coffin Dodgers is a simple kart racing game where you play as a character out of an old folks home trying to avoid death. The character. You race across a series of maps collecting trophies as you go. The game has 23 trophies, none of which are missable. There's a handful for completing the story related missions, some for defeating a certain number of enemies, and some for defeating a certain number of enemies with pickups. You've got some for also getting gold trophies in different events, and others for upgrading your kart. The game is around a 2 out of 10 difficulty and probably won't take you more than 6 hours to complete. Generally most people complete this in sort of an evening or an afternoon. The longest completion time, around 6 hours, is due to the fact that you have to play through the game a second time with the character death once you've unlocked him at the end of the game. Fourth up on our list is Monster Jam Crush It. This long-running series has finally come across to the PlayStation 4, and with it, one of the easiest Platinums on the platform. Coming in at around a 2 out of 10 difficulty, you'll be looking at no more than 6 hours to complete this title. Monster Jam is a monster truck racing-ish game. It has a few types of different events that you can take part in the game. It's got a traditional third-person perspective truck racing when you're racing another truck. You need to navigate around a stadium. It's also got a 2.5D perspective that you can play as, and you play tracks that are similar to the Trials Evolution games where you have to control the physics of the truck, not tipping over and things like that. Just by starting a match you'll start unlocking trophies very quickly. The majority of the time you'll spend with this game will be for grabbing the crush letters. You need to collect 250 crush letters throughout the game. Each level has 5 crush letters. Fortunately, across all events there's actually 420 crush letters available, so there's way more than you'll ever need, which makes this trophy a breeze, even though it is a little bit time consuming. Next up on the list is arcade game series Miss Pac-Man. Yep, that's right. The arcade game of old has a platinum trophy and it's very, very attainable. Sitting around a 3 out of 10 difficulty, this will take you anywhere between 2 hours, depending on how good you are at Pac-Man, to about 5 hours. Throughout this, you'll need to reach level 17 in the game, which is very achievable thanks to level select. You'll also need to eat all the fruits in the game, complete some miscellaneous trophies related to eating fruits in succession. The hardest part of the game is the Om Nom Nom trophy, which is for eating 4 ghosts in succession 4 times in a single round. Thankfully, there's a save exploit that you can use to help make this a little bit easier by backing up your save to the cloud. So if you mess up in a round, reloading the save means you don't have to start the game all over again. There's more details about this technique on PlayStationTrophies.org, and if you're going to go for this platinum, I highly suggest looking at that. Next on the list is Gemini Heroes Reborn. This is a game tie-in for the Heroes Reborn television show, which aired early on in 2016. However, unlike the show, the game is actually really good. Taking a first-person perspective, you'll play as Cassandra as she discovers her time-shifting and telekinesis powers. The game is a 2 out of 10 difficulty and will take you around 5 hours to complete. I suggest following a collectibles guide from the beginning of this game to help speed your playthrough up, but if you decide not to, there is a level select feature in the game, making cleaning up collectibles really easy. The next game I want to talk about is Nero, which stands for Nothing Ever Remains Obscure. The game is spelt N.E.R.O. This is a walking simulator which sees you travel through a variety of locations with some really basic puzzle solving along the way. The game will take you around 5 hours to complete, and it's around a 2 out of 10 difficulty. There are no missable trophies to worry about, and the game has a really forgiving chapter select feature as well. I suggest using a guide to help with the collectibles in the game, so you can complete this in a single playthrough, and also helping solve some of the more complex puzzles in the game, which can get a bit confusing. There is one trophy in the game to watch out for called Knock You Thursday, which can only be locked in Thursday in real time. Fortunately for you guys, all you need to do is change your system settings, which can easily be altered in the settings menu on your PS4, changing the date to Thursday. All the same, I thought this was worth calling out. Next up on the list is Clockwork Tales of Glass and Ink. This obscure title should take you around 4 hours to complete with a guide, and its difficulty level is a 1 out of 10. Clockwork Tales is a steampunk point-and-click adventure game with some really basic puzzle solving. The majority of the trophies in the game are for collectibles, so using a guide from the beginning is the best way to go. Unfortunately, there are some missable trophies, and there's no chapter select feature, which means that if you miss something, you've got to play through the whole game again. The rest of the trophies are for completing the main story and then each of the respective levels in the game, as well as a few random miscellaneous trophies which need to be earned at certain points in the story. Rounding up my list, we have 2 incredibly easy platinums. The first being Dead Synchronicity, Tomorrow Comes Today. This is another point-and-click adventure game which can be completed in less than 2 hours and is only a 1 out of 10 difficulty. Dead Synchronicity is set in a post-apocalyptic world and the story is rather dark, therefore you should manage your expectations going in. The majority of the trophies are for using specific items at particular points in the game. Because of this, majority of the game's trophies are missable, so I'd suggest using a guide just to ensure you don't miss anything during a key moment in your playthrough. Thankfully, the game is so short, with only about 2 hours to complete the entire thing, that if you do miss something, it won't take you long to get back to. And finally, rounding up my list with one of the easiest platinums that came out last year is The Little Acre. This is another really easy point-and-click adventure game which takes you less than 2 hours to complete and has a difficulty of about a 1 out of 10. Fortunately, The Little Acre has a much more positive tone than Dead Synchronicity and draws inspiration from a lot of old LucasArts point-and-click games. As is the theme with point-and-click adventure games, there are a number of missable trophies, so a guide will be necessary to collect everything in one playthrough as timely as possible. It doesn't matter if you did miss something though, because you'll still need to play through the game a second time for a speedrun trophy, which requires you to play the game in less than 1 hour, giving you the opportunity to clean up anything that you might have missed. And there you have it guys, another 10 very easy PS4 Platinum trophies that came out in 2016. I would encourage anyone to jump onto any of these games if they're looking for a quick, easy trophy fix, or they just want to boost their platinum count quickly. I'm going to recap the games that were in this list just briefly, just so that if anyone missed anything, they can easily go back and find it. So we had The Little Acre, Dead Synchronicity, Rockets, Clockwork Tales of Glass and Ink, Adam's Venture Origins, Miss Pac-Man, Nero, Nothing Ever Remains Obscure, Coffin Dodgers, Gemini Heroes Reborn, and Monster Jam Crush It. Hopefully you found this video useful, and I'd love to hear down in the comments below if you've got any other suggestions for this series going forward, or any questions about this video. Please just let me know. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and make sure you check out my other great Trophy Hunters content. See you guys next time. Terminator out.